Oh, hi, Greg. How are you?
Oh, hello there, Duncan and Zdeno and Dumbo.
I didn't watch a whole lot of it last night. I'll admit I did not watch a whole lot. I wanted to see Thornton's speech, and I saw Thornton's speech, but I didn't watch a whole lot of. I didn't watch a whole lot of it last night. How about you?
I too only watched parts of speeches. I watched part of Thornton's speech. I watched Bettman call him Dumbo, which honestly, Jumbo Dumbo. I think if we're gonna play this thing to its logical end as far as where nicknames go, Dumbo still fits. I think also though, there was a clip floating around on socials that said Joe Thornton. Of course, it's something like, of course, Joe Thornton did this in his speech, and I forget what it was referring to, but I know that when I read that teaser, my first thought was he totally went tarps off with his tux, which didn't happen, but it would have been.
I thought he was going to. I really did.
I thought so too.
I thought he was going to go tarps off.
And then the other thing I thought was maybe someone scored 4 goals in the Hall
of
Fame. We finally got this.
It would have been poetic if someone would have scored 4 goals last night.
If anyone was going to
inducted.
Yeah, if anyone was going to unsheath the Selke Trophy, if you will, at the Hall of Fame, it would definitely be Joe. It'd be a Dumbo Jumbo.
So now that he's in the Hall of Fame, like that's it. Like that is the official end of the career. That bet is off. Now it's officially done. Like that is like the official end of your career. So
yep.
Joe Thornton has escaped.
If you score 4 in beer league, it doesn't matter anymore. It's got to be in the NHL.
It's done. It's got to be in the NHL. If someone would have scored 4 goals last night, it would have been great. Like halfway through the speech, someone yelled like, "Panarin just got his 4th, Joe."
Zip.
What are you gonna do, Joe? Like it owes you money, Joe.
I'm sorry, Gary. Duty calls. Beard looked good though. Didn't the beard look good?
Beard looks awesome. He's great.
Are you a little surprised he's kept it after his playing days are done?
No, not at all. I mean, I think the whole beard thing started as a bet between him and Burns to see who would shave first, and Burns lost it. There was a time where Nazem Kadri in a fight pulled some of it out, which must not have been very comfortable for Joe.
Forgot about that.
It's completely now part of his personality. Like I can't like. Does it not look jarring to you when you look at old pictures of Joe Thornton? Like even not that old, and he's clean faced.
Yeah,
like it looks like jarring.
A different person. Yeah, he looks
Correct.
like a completely different person. I remember the first time I saw that beard up close, and it was truly like nothing I had ever seen. There were so many different textures and colors all happening at the same time. It was like looking at a Grateful Dead T-shirt on someone's face. It was like there was just so much going on, and it was just long, and it was well kept too. It's not like it was like natty or anything. He did a good job taking care of it. That's a Hall of Fame beard right there. That's what I'm trying to say.
That is a Hall of Fame beard.
If you have one draft pick, peak of their powers, Adam Oates or Joe Thornton, you're taking Thornton?
Ooh, I don't know, man.
Ooh,
I don't
right.
I don't know if that's
a really
good one.
Popping open a can of worms here.
No,
I'm Thornton all the way on that one. I think Oates is great, but I think
I may go Oates on that one. I think I may go Oates on that one. Yeah.
Thornton's got the size. I think the passing is probably a wash, right?
But the thing about Oates was a better skater.
True.
And this is the one, and maybe this is just a bias against. Like we have this assumption, and like I'm at fault for this one. I just always assume, and this is just based on, and I got to get out of my head, just my upbringing. Whenever you see big guys, you think they must be physical. And if they're not physical, it's like it's a letdown, and there's some like default in their game. There's just some big guys that just aren't going to be that guy. So I still have that. I wanted more physically out of Joe Thornton. Like he wasn't shy, and he would fight every now and then. And I think about the Getzlaf fight off the draw in the San Jose Anaheim series.
I was just
so here's another one.
Both Oates and Thornton. There it is. Got some Selke attention during their careers, but neither one of them was ever a finalist. I don't think. I think Joe was like 5th and Oates was 4th. So they both got some respect for the
Yeah.
defensive side of the game.
Maybe I like Oates more because he wasn't, and this might have been a hindrance more than a help for Joe Thornton early on. The expectation is always higher for first overall picks. And, Colby Cohen's point is a really, really good one about this. And he always goes out of his way, and most recently with, someone like Alexis Lafreniere, to point out that at a certain point in your career, you are no longer your draft position. And it's different for everybody. But at a certain point, you can no longer be called first overall draft pick Joe Thornton or first overall draft pick Alexis Lafreniere. You're just, here's Alexis Lafreniere, and here's what's happening, or here's what's not happening with that player. But I think the expectations are always higher. Always higher. And don't forget too, not that they were going to ruin him. Joe Thornton was too good of a player to get ruined, but that first year where they didn't send him back to Sault Ste. Marie in the OHL, and he roller skated down a gravel road in his first year in the NHL, and everyone went, "Uh-oh, what just happened here? Did we really?" And that to me is always, even though you're a first overall pick, that doesn't mean you should go right into the NHL.
Did I ever tell the Neil Brady story here? I think I
Neil Brady. Whoa, there's a name I haven't heard in forever.
Let me set the scene here because no one knows who I'm talking about. Neil Brady was drafted 3rd overall by the New Jersey Devils, my beloved New Jersey Devils, out of Montreal. 3rd overall in 1986, and I worked with Ken Danico, my Devil.
Puck.
Mr. Devil, they call him.
Hey, Puck.
And he used to call me Hey, Puck. When I first started working with him, it was at Yahoo. We worked at the Vancouver Olympics, and he couldn't pronounce Wyshynski, so he knew me as Puck Daddy, and then he would just shorten it as Hey, Puck.
Yeah,
good to see you, Puck.
Here. Yeah.
He once told me a story about Neil Brady, about how the Devils at the time were very excited, obviously, 3rd overall pick. Here's a guy who's a center. He's going to come in. He's going to be a huge difference maker for him. And Daniel told me that the first practice of training camp that they had, they watched Neil Brady skate, and he was so slow and so terrible that Danico remembers just going, "What the fuck is this?"
Hang on,
and Brady ended up playing. He played 89 games in over 5 years, by the way.
Let's remember one thing. That is slow by 86 standards.
Yeah, exactly.
That's like a 1986 standard of slow. So that's really slow.
I always think about that because Colby's right. We don't still refer to Sid or Ovi as first overall picks. We don't refer to Connor as a first overall pick. McDavid, I mean. Bedard, we probably still do.
Yep.
It only at some point the label leaves you, but I think it sticks with you only if you were, for example, the 3rd overall pick in the 1986 draft and only played 89 games in your career. Nel Yakupov is a first overall pick. It only gets Alexander Daig is a first overall pick. It only gets attached to you if you don't at least meet those expectations. Once you do, then it's almost like the shackles come off and we don't even talk about it anymore. But Eric Johnson is now a coworker at ESPN. And he's doing great. He's like a natural at all this broadcasting stuff. I still think of him in terms of his draft position. What say you?
I do, because it was a World Junior tournament that put him there. Remember, it was after that WJC where everyone went like, "Oh man, he had a tremendous tournament." Where everybody went, "Eric Johnson's got to be first overall." You get a defenseman like that. That's 15 years first pair of defensemen on your blue line. You can't pass that up. But again, part of that is too, just like you mentioned, Alexander Daig. It's not so much about Daig, but it's the guys that went after him who are just like Hall of Famers, and that's the same thing with Eric Johnson. So I don't know that I strongly just keep going, "Oh yeah, first overall." That would have been the Vancouver. That was the Vancouver draft with Taves and Stahl and all those guys. Nick Backstrom. Yeah, it was. So I think more so about the guys that went 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4.
Look at this. Who was that? Adam Oates' Chichu was the question that we just got from the chat.
I'll tell you what. Okay, hold on.
Was there a guy in the Bruins that was his Chichu, Marek?
Hang on. Let me address Chichu for 1 second. Let me address Chichu because it's a really, really good question. I'm gonna sound like I'm really insulting Jonathan Chichu here, and I'm not at all. But I take the season 2005, 2006, and I do this with it.
Because of the rules changes?
Yes.
Okay.
Goofy. You know how many goofy things happened that year? Sorry, Jonathan Chichu. I'm not calling you goofy, but you won the Rocket Richard Trophy. The Carolina Hurricanes won the Stanley Cup out of nowhere. So many goofy things happened that year that I'm not willing to say, oh, that was all of Joe Thornton. Listen, was a lot of it Joe Thornton, like a sublime playmaker, sublime passer, one of the best the game has ever seen. Absolutely. But that to me was more about the rule changes, the crackdown on obstruction, the freeing up of players for longer, cleaner looks than anything else. What say you about 05, 06? Because everybody's, and this, hang on, this is the point about McDavid and his group, and this is what's coming afterwards. That was the beginning of players having to stop what they were doing and relearn the game. It was really hard for a lot of guys. The first group that grew up with the rule changes in the NHL, but from a youth hockey perspective, the first group that grew up from the first time they played organized hockey to getting drafted into the NHL, that first group was Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
That was that draft class who didn't have to stop playing one way and learn how to play another way. That's why I keep, when everyone asks me, is there going to be another Connor McDavid? I say, of course there is. He was just the first under these rules to pop in a massive way.
Are you trying to say that there might be something anomalous about a season in which the Carolina Hurricanes and Edmonton Oilers played for the Stanley Cup? You're saying that's kind of an offbeat year, Marek?
Just a little bit of but Chichi was the poster child of that one for that season for me.
Whenever there's a massive change in the league, the next few seasons are impacted by it. Now, I'm not saying that Bobby Orr had 6 straight 100-point seasons because it was post-expansion. But I'm kind of saying it. I'm saying it. I'm definitely saying it.
Listen. I've made this point before, and Canadian hockey fan. And we are 14 minutes into the show. Here I am already ripping legends. Bobby Orr, Phil Esposito, they were the best in the NHL when the NHL was at its weakest. The league doubled in 67. There was expansion in 70, 72, 74. The WHA came along to steal even more players. That was the time when the NHL was at its weakest and most watered down. Which is why I still maintain that the best defenseman of all time was Nick Lidstrom. It wasn't Bobby Orr.
Would you take Nick Lidstrom over Ray Bourque?
All day long. I'll take Nick Lidstrom over every defenseman. The only one that I would, there is actually one that I would pause for, and that is Larry Robinson.
I just want to say one last thing about our Oates Thornton debate, such as it was.
Yeah.
Are you astonished that Oates only played, what was it? Let me get the actual games here. He only played 195 games with the Blues. Like maybe it's just that old. The SNL cast that was there when you grew up is your SNL cast that I am remembering Hall and Oates having a much longer run than 195 games, but he only played 195 games in St. Louis. Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Well, that's like when people talk about, because you listen to Don Cherry talk about, anyway, go back to Bobby Orr. He coached them for, I think, like under 100 games.
Yeah.
But it would sound like Grapes had him for like 500 games of his career.
500 games of his career. I coached that man. It was Bobby Orr. And Jeff Merrick, good to see you wearing the poppy, son. You're wearing the poppy. We love to see you wear the poppy on the hockey show.
Yeah. Listen. Well, you know what? And the thing about the poppies too, and I sort of go back, like I don't know when the appropriate time to put it back on the wreath is. Some will tell you it's after the marking of 11 o'clock when everybody pauses, or it's at the end of your day. I don't know. I go back and forth on it. That's my little. If anyone knows like the official time when you're supposed to take your puppy off, can you share it with your boy here? Because I don't know.
I'll say this: it's Veterans Day here in the States as well.
Yep.
I think we celebrated it on Sunday. The amount of veteran remembrances and military stuff during the NFL games on Sunday was astonishing. Ron Gronkowski was wearing a full camouflage outfit on Fox before their game. It was a hell of a thing. So listen. Hockey Hall of Fame. Last summer, after this class was announced, I did a top 10 ranking of potential candidates for 2026's class. Next year's Bergeron. That's first ballot. That's easy, right?
Yeah, simple.
Okay.
Top
Carey Price's second year. I don't. This is an American Canadian divide that will not probably bridge. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer, but I don't think there's a way he's not getting into the Hall of Fame.
He's getting in the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
He's getting in the Hall of Fame. You know, and hang on, one thing that I've been reminded by from people there over the past however many years, in the title Hockey Hall of Fame, don't forget the final word. Fame.
Fame. Oh,
fame.
That was my argument for years about, well, first of all, about McGillney, but also like Bore, Lindros, like Roenick. Like Roenick is the prototypical Hockey Hall of Famer in the sense that I don't think his career maybe adds up to being in the Hockey Hall, but he certainly is in the Hockey Hall of Fame. And an amazing writer who wrote the foreword to my book as well. Boy, people always love to bring that up to me. Remember when Roenick wrote the foreword to your book? And I'm just like, every single day of my life when I look at the best-selling book that I wrote, and a man who literally, I think, composed it into a notes app and then sent it to the publisher, wrote the foreword to my book.
You know who we're gonna have a really hard time with one day? Hang on, you know what? I gotta welcome aboard our friends here. So hold on one second. There's your hook. We're gonna have a hard time with one player specifically in the NHL right now when his career. But first, these messages. The Blueprint is powered by our friends and presenters at FanDuel. Bless you, FanDuel. Download the app today and play your game on FanDuel. Coming up on the program, you've already heard him blather for 18 minutes. He's Greg Wyshynski from ESPN and ESPN.com. We're going to talk about the Preds. What's next? Well, what's next is the flight to Sweden. We'll talk about the Oilers salvaging victory out of the jaws of defeat yesterday against the Columbus Blue Jackets. We will talk about the surging Anaheim Ducks. We'll talk about the Hall of Fame. Uffe Bodin is going to stop by, longtime colleague, just like one of the most wonderful people, and one of the most highly intelligent hockey people you will ever meet. We'll check in with his thoughts on the Global Series. I also want to get his thoughts on Leo Carlsson, and we'll talk a little bit more about the Global Series. That would be, of course, the Pittsburgh Penguins facing off against the Nashville Predators. One day we are going to have a hard time with one player in the NHL when he is eligible for the Hall of Fame, and that player is Jaccob Slavin. There is no denying that he is one of the best defensive defensemen in that era. The one place in the Hall of Fame right now, because they've tried to clean up the goalies, they're trying, like, you can tell, like, they're dedicated to, like, this is a place we've fallen down. We need to get more goalies in the Hall. I'm not going to bore you with my case for Lauren Shabbat, but it's still out there, folks. All the other contemporaries are all in, all with similar numbers, et cetera, et cetera. But I digress.
Float in the air like COVID. Don't catch me.
I know. The one place where it's fallen down is defensive defensemen, your Rod Langways, your Kevin Lowe's, et cetera. That's why I've always stumped for someone like Adam Foote. And what are we going to do with Jaccob Slavin one day? Because you're not going to be able to point to the slew of Norris trophies. You're not going to be able. You might be able to point to he was the best player in the entire Four Nations tournament, hands down.
Well, let's pause on that, because if he repeats that performance in Italy,
the Olympics,
and they win, then we're not even having this conversation. He's probably a Hall of Famer. He needs that kind of moment. Same thing with Carolina winning the Cup. Like, if Carolina could finally break through and win the Cup, then this becomes an entirely different conversation. Because I know it's not the Hockey Hall of Team Achievement, but in the end, it weighs pretty heavily if you win, right? I will say this, though, like you mentioned not winning a Norris. I think there's a better acknowledgement now of the market in which you play than there was decades ago. And what really hipped me to that idea is the fact that Sergei Zubov, although yes, he was a New York Ranger, but he didn't play the majority of his career there, is in the Hall of Fame. And to me, Slavin fills that sort of hipster pick lane that Zubov filled. And I think he'll probably get in one day, but I do think that his case might need a championship at some point. Real quick, Patrick Marleau, third year. I think that's a fascinating debate. I really thought they might put him in this year to stand up there with Jumbo, but it didn't happen. So the fact that it didn't happen this year gives me a little pause.
You know what? I'll tell you what. Like, create the perfect poetry if you're going to script this pro wrestling style. Jumbo goes in with Marleau, Chara goes in with Bergeron. Back-to-back
would have been
seasons.
perfect, right?
That's the show business. That's the show business move right there. That's Berkey shuffling up the draft to get both Sedins. That's what that is.
The most fascinating case for me next year. Do Matthew and Brady get Keith into the Hall? No, Keith Tkachuk will never be a bigger name or a hotter commodity in retirement than he is right now. Yeah. The scion of two of the stars in the NHL, a reality star of his own right on that Amazon show with his kids. Mm-hmm. Do Brady and Matthew's star power elevate their father into the Hall of Fame in what would be his 14th year of eligibility?
I've said for years it's only a matter of time before he gets in. So I'm going to go ahead and say yes, because I've believed that he should have been in by now. The other one that is interesting here, with 500 goals and 1,000 points and a Stanley Cup with Dallas in 99, now that he's a manager that everybody's talking about, should be the general manager of the year. Look what he's done with the Anaheim Ducks, and look at this hot team when they're built to last. Patty Verbeek. For years and years, it's always like 250, 2,500 penalty minutes. Yeah, sure. But yeah, look at the 500 goals, 1,000 points. But now that he's more on the radar in popular consciousness around the NHL,
man,
Pat Verbeek get in the Hall of Fame? The little ball of hate.
The way the Ducks are going, he might get in as a builder. The way the Ducks are going right now, he might even have to get in as a player. Real quick, Ryan Getzlaf's second year of eligibility, Zetterberg's fifth year, Patrick Elias. Now that, speaking of hipster picks,
that's a hipster
that's
pick.
What I don't think he's a Hall of Famer, but and I say that as someone who watched his entire career, but I also acknowledge that he's one of those guys, and Niedermeyer was like this too with the Devils, where if he is playing in a different situation on a different team in a different system with different talent around him, maybe it would be different. And is that enough of an argument to say that he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame? Listen, I would not be upset if he got in. I just don't think. I think he's Hall of very, very good for me. But there's a lot of people that are very passionate about Elias's candidacy. The final name I'll say to you, Marek, is Rod Brind'Amour. 13th year of eligibility. You talk about guys whose reputations have been boosted by their post-playing career in the NHL. That is Rod Brind'Amour. It would be extremely interesting to see what happens here. I still think that there are enough guys that are in the Hall of Fame that are around Brind'Amour's numbers and around his reputation as a defensive center, which, by the way, is a bit overstated because he wasn't like that for his entire career, that it wouldn't surprise me if he gets in.
Okay, let's get to our guest, and I'm going to open up with a question about a Swedish hockey player. Much alike, we talk about Rod Brind'Amour and we talk about Keith Tkachuk. I want to bring up a historical Swedish hockey player with our next guest. But first, this segment is a presentation of Prime Monday Night Hockey. Prime Monday Night Hockey streams all national regular season Monday night NHL games on Prime Video in Canada and is available free to Prime members in Canada. Stream Prime Monday Night Hockey exclusively on Prime Video and experience thrilling goals and dramatic plays from the NHL. Monday nights are hockey nights. Don't miss a moment of the action. Monday, November 17th, Columbus hosting Montreal to take on Demidov, Hudson, and the Canadiens. Check out the link in our description for the Prime Monday Night Hockey schedule on Prime Video, or go to primevideo.com/NHL. Also on Prime Video, Faceoff Inside the NHL Season 2. Subscribe with a 30-day free trial to Prime Video to watch Monday Night Hockey and the new season of Faceoff. Download the app or go to primevideo.com. Our next guest is a longtime colleague and a longtime friend, and I see the smile on your face because you know I'm going to say his name. Uffe Bodin, who works with us here at Better Collective, the parent company of Hockey's for Rage. Uffe, what time is it in Sweden right now?
Oh, not too late. 7:30.
Oh, okay. You're fine then.
Oh
You're,
yeah, I'm fine. I
Yeah.
have two kids screaming in the background, but I know you guys understand, so
we
that's
do.
that's
Yeah,
the main
we
thing
do.
for me.
Okay, I want to get to Global Series with you in a couple of seconds. I do want to ask you about Leo Carlsson as well, and a lot more questions about Swedish hockey. But we were just, defending and throwing or debating rather, throwing around your Katchuks and your Brindamores, etc. One of my favorite players is Kent Nilsson. My favorite players of all time. And this is the Hockey Hall of Fame, not the NHL Hall of Fame, despite the fact that Kent Nilsson was outstanding in the NHL as well. If it were up to you, Uffe, would Kent Nilsson be in the Hockey Hall of Fame? Not just for NHL exploits, but internationally as well. And let me throw in one more thing. Although we all call it the Forsberg, that move was done by Kent Nilsson against John Van Beesbroek against Team USA at the World Championships in 1989. Uffe, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I mean, for that goal alone, I think it deserves a place, to be honest. I was born in the early 80s, and one of my first memories of hockey on TV was actually seeing that goal against John Van Beesbroek. Actually, it was the arena in downtown Stockholm was called the Globe. It's now called Avicii Arena, and that's where they're playing the Global Series this weekend. And so that was the tournament. The World Championships in 1989 was when they actually opened up that arena. Mm-hmm. And I think, of course, the Forsberg, winning the first Olympic gold medal in ice hockey in '94 in Lillehammer, Norway. That's I think every Swede that was born before that day. Keeps us as a cherished memory, and I would say nothing that Peter Forsberg did in the NHL was actually
here's the Kent Nilsson goal if you're watching on YouTube. So that was
so beautiful.
That was and I remember
and check out the mullet.
It's a glory. It's a beautiful crown of glory on Kent there. The thing about it, I remember asking Forsberg about the move, and he said, "Oh yeah, I saw Kent Nilsson do this in 1989." Exactly. So that's a complete aping of Kent Nilsson. If you want to get all hipster here.
No postage.
Yeah, so
stamp.
you have.
Without the postage stamp, it really doesn't matter, does it?
No. Exactly.
Greg?
No, but that's the two biggest goals, I would say, probably the Mika Zibanejad overtime goal at the World Juniors for sure. But these two are the most iconic Swedish goals through all time, I would say.
All right, let's come out of this bullpen throwing 110. Let's start off with a heater. Is there a world in which Elias Pettersson doesn't make Team Sweden in the Olympics?
That was actually, we were discussing this today about Mika Zibanejad. Is he a shoe-in for the Olympic team? I mean, I think that's a discussion to have as well. But I joked today when we talked about Elias Pettersson, he looks like a grinding two-way defensive centerman. So he's perfect slotted for
jumping in front of shots.
Slotted for the he's perfectly slotted for the third line or the third line center. So the coach, the Swedish coach Sam Hallam, he had Elias when he had his breakthrough season in the Swedish Elite League, and I think they go way back, so I have a hard time imagining he would not be on the team. But I think Zibanejad is an interesting discussion at this point.
They've put him in a position to succeed in New York. Playing on the wing with JT Miller, they put Perreault on that line last night. The numbers just aren't there, and everybody else on the Rangers is starting to score a little bit, like Lafreniere and Cooley and some of the guys, Marek, that we talked about recently. Mm-hmm. But Zibanejad, this is now 2 straight seasons where it's just not come together for him offensively. So you might be right. He might be more on the bubble than any of us expected he would have been maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah, and he went home to the World Championships that was played here in Stockholm this spring, and he put up some numbers, but he was not very visible, to be honest. So it's an interesting question to have at this point.
So then let me follow it up with this. Is Leo Carlsson Sweden's first-line center?
Yeah, if you look at what he's done in the past few weeks, it's hard to say no to that question, because he is right now he's like turning. It's hockey fever in Sweden thanks to Leo Carlsson. Like we finally see him pull through like this, and because in all honesty, like if you look at the past few years, I mean, we have a lot of good players, but we haven't had like that superstar player for a while now. I thought that Rasmus Dahlin would be that guy by now, but obviously he has other things in his life that he needs to deal with right now, sadly.
Yep.
So getting Leo on a heater this early in the season, I mean, that's just what Swedish hockey needs, because like we discussed this, I think last year, Jeff, when he was about to be the Four Nations, and the center depth, as we talked about with Mika and Elias, it's not really there anymore. Like Joel Eriksson Ek could very well be your second best center after Leo at this point. So Leo's his play of late that means everything to Team Sweden, I think.
So we talked about Peter Forsberg before, and it got me thinking. There's always been one guy that you look at and say, that's the most famous Swedish hockey player playing right now. That's the most beloved guy back home. It was Forsberg, then it was Lundqvist, right? Maybe Zetterberg gets in there for a little bit too. Who is the man when it comes to Swedish hockey? Whose posters on every corner of the streets of Stockholm? Who is the player that is the god of hockey right now when it comes to Sweden and the NHL?
I think we'd have to answer Mr. YouTube himself, Billy Nylander, at this point, because just by way of his his personality and how laid back he is, and I think people here tend to have this love-hate relationship with him, and I think it might be the same in Toronto, to be honest.
But you should visit Toronto. Might want to visit Toronto there too.
Yeah,
what are we describing here? Stockholm or Toronto?
Same, right? No, but I think just his personality and obviously flamboyant, both when it comes to fashion and the way he plays the game. So I think he's the poster boy if we have anyone right now. But I would assume if Leo keeps this up, he's gonna give William a run for his money.
Give us a little. Let me pause on that. And first of all, it seemed very much like when the Maple Leafs and the Wings and the Wild and the Senators were involved in the Global Series like that. And I think a lot of it was the way that everybody in Sweden embraced Nylander around that week, that took his fame, his stardom to a completely different level. Like that was a jumping off point, I think, for a lot of people. Give us some background for those that may not be aware of Leo Carlsson. Now, I know specifically people in the East, like Anaheim's a 10 o'clock Eastern start. Like that's tough. I get it. But for those that may not know Leo Carlsson, he's drafted second overall for a reason. I remember the Anaheim Ducks, and no one likes the term, load management, but they brought him in gradually. Like they just didn't jump him right in, throw him in the deep end and say sink or swim. Like he would be brought in, he'd be, sat down for a couple of games, and it'd be another game. And like it was a very deliberate process that Anaheim went through. What does Anaheim have now? Give us some background on Leo Carlsson.
I think they have a guy who can probably in a few years be like the full package, like your Anshey Kopitar of Orange County, basically.
Wow.
Because I really feel like he has he's not there yet. Let's just be honest about that. But I think he can be like a really big two-way player in the future. But I think what you have there is a guy who, like, I wouldn't say he came out of nowhere, but he just kind of exploded on the scene in the SHL, made his debut quite early, and there were other players that were much more talked about in his year group. But I think he surpassed everyone in the end. And he had his battles growing up. I mean, he had his stuttering problem, and I know he was bullied for that growing up, and it just seemed to make him so much stronger because he's so laid back, he's so happy-go-lucky in a positive sense, and just the most easygoing guy to deal with. Like this summer, I went to this sponsor event in Gothenburg where he and Elias Pettersson did his thing together. And Elias Pettersson, he can be in his shell, and he can be hard to talk to, but just him spending time with Leo in the same room, it just made him bloom, and he started talking too. So I mean, Leo, he has this aura about him. He enters a room and he gets everyone comfortable and laughing. And I really see like the sky is the limit for that kid.
Global Series. What does it mean to have Sidney Crosby come over and play these games this late in his career? I mean, we only have a short amount of time left with this guy. To have Sid there for this Global Series, I imagine, is a pretty big deal for the country.
Yeah, I mean, we were lucky enough. He came here to play the World Championships in Stockholm this spring as well. But so there was a lot of attention on him then. But yeah, I remember actually 2008 was the first. It was like the inaugural, at least in Sweden. I think they did one in London the year 2007 when the Ducks had won the cup. I think they started the season in London. But the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Ottawa Senators in 2008 were like the first teams that came to Stockholm to play, real regular season games. And, Sid at the time, he was, they were just coming off the loss to the Red Wings. And, you were thinking basically, okay, can he do this? And they lost the games and he was really sour. And I tried to interview him and he was like throwing water bottles. We were like really pissed off with how the trip had gone because they lost both games. And then turning the page to today, you see this just oh god, I don't even know what to call him. But yeah, so mature and like the calmness himself. Like he such a treat to deal with in that sense. So I mean, it's amazing. Like when you look at the way he's been scoring here to start the season, and of course I would imagine that him alone would sell a bunch of tickets, just like Erik Karlsson and Filip Forsberg would. But just having him here and probably the last time he'll ever play a game in Stockholm, I would assume. So I think it's magnificent, and actually having Malkin here as well is pretty special too.
Absolutely. Yeah. The NHL officially opened their European office. And I'm curious sort of how that is being received in Europe, specifically in Sweden, which already has a very robust professional loop. Thank you very much. Once upon a time, it was the NHL would dip into Europe every now and then, sell a couple of jerseys, promote a game, and then you wouldn't hear from them for a while. Now it seems as if now that there's a new CBA done with the players, they can dedicate more time to extending their brand deeper into Europe. Just as an aside too, I spoke to one person last year about like really doing something significant, and this person said to me, why doesn't the NHL just have like all 32 teams play opening night in different cities in Europe? If you really want to do we're serious about the European market. I'm curious both your thoughts on something like that, but how is this being received? Because it does very much feel like the NHL is taking much more of a significant position in their presence in Europe.
Yeah, I talked to some NHL people today, and they were of the thought that they're doing this to sort of increase the footprint rather than. I mean, the conspiracy theory is that they want to get European team here or maybe a few. I don't really see that as a possibility at this point because the fan culture and everything, it's so different from North America. So I'm of the opinion that I don't think it would work, but at the same time they could increase. I mean, just look at where the players come from these days. I mean, they're exactly. Like the game is growing, and I think particularly Germany is a market that I think that they're really interested in getting even bigger footprint. I mean, you see the players that coming from there, you have your Draisaitl, obviously, Moritz Seider, Tim Stützle, JJ Peterka. There's a lot of really good players coming over from Germany right now. So I mean, I think that's a huge market, obviously, with a lot of money, and the NHL tends to follow the money around. So I would assume that is something that they're looking at, because I think obviously Sweden and Finland and probably Czechia as well, that those are pretty stable markets for the NHL at this point. But I think they can probably do more in both Germany and Switzerland, where there's a lot of money laying around.
Yeah, if I had to guess, it's more like they want a foothold in order to do kind of more like what the NFL does, which is to put as many games as possible in London and Berlin and places like that, which I agree. I think that you could do. I was, when you mentioned the 32 teams thing, Marek, I was going through my head. Well, I was trying to think about like 16 European cities and Asian cities where they could put games. And I kept on coming back to the same thing, which is like, could you do this without Russia? Like, would it be worth doing it without Russia? Like, you talk about where players come from, they come from Russia, a lot of them. And so the fact that they are still persona non grata in all of this
that's a good point.
Makes that whole European cash cow thing pretty interesting. Although who knows how much cash they have after the Ukrainians have kicked their ass all over Europe, says Greg Wyshynski, proud Ukrainian boy.
Uffe, do you have a thought on that topic?
Yeah. You want to go into politics?
No, we don't.
No.
Although I will say one thing. The most politically charged hockey games that have ever been played took place in Sweden. The 1969 World Championships. This is after the Soviet tanks marched down the cobblestone streets of Prague. It was Czechoslovakia versus the Soviet Union, the World Championships. And there was, and you can see these games on YouTube. And it is like, normally when you say, "Oh yeah, we want to kill them," like would rather die than lose. There's only one time in history where a team has actually meant that, and that was Czechoslovakia versus Soviet Union. There was no way. And I even there's been books written about this, and I go back and I watch the videos all the time, because that to me was the time where, as much as I was 72 with Russia and Canada was politically charged, nothing like that, and it was in Stockholm at the World Championships. That was the most politically charged that the sport has ever been.
I think you're forgetting a little tournament called Four Nations, where there were like tariffs that everybody was.
There were tariffs,
I mean,
and they booed the anthems. Yeah, I guess that's the same, Greg. Sure, not even close. Anyhow, Uffe, let me ask you about a couple of one player specifically. As we're trying to figure out here what's going to be next for the Nashville Predators, there's a lot of talk about, okay, they're going to look to move Steven Stamkos or Juuse Saros. Isn't perhaps the most obvious play here Filip Forsberg, who, if Nashville decides to go through a rebuild, I don't know that Filip Forsberg at this place in his career, because I think you can ask a player to go through a rebuild once, but careers are so short, you can't ask a player to do it twice. Is not maybe the obvious one here, who still has a lot of cachet and a lot of skill? Isn't the obvious one here Filip Forsberg, if they're going to go that route?
I mean, in theory, yes, because I think you're pretty much laying out all the good arguments there. I still feel like he really likes it in Nashville, and it's like it's become his home and everything. So I think it would be a huge decision for him. But if Nashville continues to sputter like this, I mean, that's going to be a question he has to ask himself. Like, do I really want to live through this? Because I mean, he's 31 now, so I still feel like he has a few good years left in him. I think it probably at this point it's easier to trade like an O'Reilly or Stamkos or even Marchessault. But if this continues, for sure, I think Filip Forsberg has some really hard questions to ask himself about the future and where it lies.
Greg?
Last one for me. This is from Zachary82 in the chat for the show. Two questions. Where does Simon Edvinsson have an outside chance with the Olympics? And thoughts on who's our little Swedish boy?
Gronberg?
Yeah.
Janborg.
Yeah, Janborg, Eddie Janborg, who's for those who don't know, an 18-year-old prospect over in Sweden.
Well, I think Edvinsson has an outside chance. He played World Championships, didn't like. I don't think he had that kind of tournament where he really positioned himself, but there's a lot of old veterans, Grizzly veterans, that he's going to have to sort of work his way through. But I mean, there are 8 spots, so I wouldn't rule it out. But at this point, I think he's on the outside looking in. And as for Eddie Janborg, he was a second-round pick for the Red Wings last summer. And he has looked amazing. Like, he's this really intense player that is putting up a lot of points right now. And he can also be a bit of a prick. So I think he's got a future in the NHL for sure.
Okay.
I mean, who doesn't like a prick who scores goals?
Exactly. And it's been a good 15 seconds since Detroit had a good Swedish player. So it's good to know that they've got some guys in the pipeline.
Let me and I mentioned Rickard Gronberg there a second ago. I thought that's where the question was headed. There's a Finnish coach with the Kitchener Rangers by the name of Jussi Ahokas, who's and a lot of his big philosophies about coaching revolve around how the game is evolving towards being positionless. And I was at the game against Saginaw on Friday watching the Rangers in action, and it's a really interesting style that they play based on how Ahokas coaches. I think he's destined for the NHL eventually. I think Kitchener's got him for one more year, and then he's going to make the jump. Are there any Swedish coaches that you think we should be paying attention to? Because it does seem as if now, more so than ever, the door is, if not open, at least opening to different coaches from different areas of the world. Is there anyone in Sweden we should be paying attention to, Uffe?
I mean, there has. You mentioned Rickard Gronborg, and I know he's been interviewed for like several jobs.
Yes.
But also he has his background in North America. That's sort of where he started out. He did his played college over there, and I mean, just like Anders Sorensen, who stepped into the Blackhawks last year and actually became the first Swede to coach in the NHL. But I don't know, like it's a long road, and what I feel about coaches, in general, is that if you want to coach in NHL, you have to go like the North American way. I don't think you can reach some kind of success on the international level, or like helping a club team in Europe to win a bunch of championships. I think you really need to go the North American way. You probably need to do what Jussi Ahokas does, like work his way up. I mean, what's next for him? Maybe coach in the AHL, or maybe get an assistant coaching job in the NHL. And I think that's the way you need to go to be able to reach that point. I don't think it's possible, or it would be the out of the box move of the year if anyone actually brought over a Swedish or Finnish coach who had success in Europe, because I'm of the firm belief that you need to deliver in North America to get that kind of opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Interesting stuff as always. You're very generous with your time, and I know you have kids to tend to. Uffe, thanks. It's always good to see your smiling face and listen to your observations. We really appreciate it here.
Yes! Finally! Oh my!
Yeah, it found its way to Sweden, Greg.
The first copy I've ever sold in Sweden, I think, maybe. You're the best, man.
I'm sure there are a few. But I just want to thank you guys because just one last thing. I just want to thank you guys because I obviously was one of the lucky ones who, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, there was this Marek versus Wyshynski podcast that I didn't even know what the hell a podcast was before I actually started listening to you guys. And really nice to see you guys together again. I never miss a second. And it's just amazing that we were able to bring you together under this umbrella. So thank you guys.
Oh,
Uffe,
that's awesome, man.
Uffe, you read that just as I wrote it. Thank you so much. I'll
send an invoice.
Yeah, that's right. There's no I in team, but there's 2 I's in invoice. I get it. That's how we work here in media.
So sweet.
You're the man, Uffe. Thanks, pal. Always good to catch up.
Thank you. Take care, guys.
maybe the nicest person in the world, Uffe Bodin.
See, what Uffe doesn't know is we also did not know what a podcast was at that time.
We just started talking. I know, one of our mini producers, like, what are we doing with this audio now? It's like, here you go.
Internet Josh, radio. We're making well, thanks for joining us on the MP3.
Remember Real Media? Remember how Real Media was going to... I used to do that when I used to do wrestling. All of our stuff used to be placed up on Real Media. Is going to be a revolutionary force and all that. And I have no idea what's become of Real Media.
Let me talk to you about the Ducks for a second. So I talked to Pat Verbeek yesterday for a story that me and Kristen Shilton are doing. And I said, hey man, like it's great to talk to you. I'm congrats on all the success you've been having. It's been really fun to watch the chaos that your team brings in these games. And he's like, yeah, fun for you. Not so much for me. I'm like, Patty, like,
enjoy it, man.
Like, look, man, they are an exceptional offensive team right now. Like, they are firing on all cylinders. Yeah. They're scoring at will off the rush.
It's great.
Their young players are all clicking. Their old players are all finding the fountain of youth at the same time. I mean, Patty looks like a genius for that Kreider thing. He just does. Like, he fit a number of things they felt they needed on the wing, and then also on the power play, which, by the way, clicked at 12% last season, if you round up, and is now killing it.
That would just as an aside, like Kreider does, and I still maintain if there was a comeback player of the year in the NHL, right now the clubhouse leader is Chris Kreider. But the idea that, like, our power play thinks, what should we do? Even though he had a down year with the Rangers, go get like the best power play net front guy in the NHL.
Guy in the last 5 or 10 years. So, but like, to Verbeek's point, he told me that he's hoping that the systems that Joel Quenneville has in place there enables them to get better defensively. These young players get better defensively during the course of the season. Right now, if these young guys screw up, they're not getting Jordan Kyrou, okay? Like, they're staying in the lineup, and they play and they learn from their mistakes, and so that's part of the learning curve right now for the Ducks, because if you go inside the numbers, Marek, they are atrocious defensively. They're a bit better from a puck possession standpoint, which I think is helping, but they're getting completely bailed out by Lukas Dostal right now. He's having a Vezina-worthy season. Yes. They're giving up as many scoring chances at 5-on-5 as they did last season. So if the question is, can the Ducks sustain this? I think there's an argument to be said that they can, because of the incremental improvements that Quenneville's already made at 5-on-5, and in theory they'll get better as the season goes on. Yeah. But like, offensively, this team's just got it. They remind me of the Devils a few years back when they made the playoffs for the first time with Hughes, like, just pressing the speed button over and over and over again and just crushing teams with it.
I'm glad you mentioned Dostal, because as much as we're talking about Karlsson and what he's doing, and he's been tremendous, as much as we talk about young Cutter Gauthier and what he's doing, and the rejuvenation of Chris Kreider and all of it, Jackson Lacombe, like everything. If they're losing games, we're not talking about it the same way, and the reason they're winning games is because of Lukas Dostal. Yeah, he should be in. Whenever anyone talks about the Anaheim Ducks, you should always make the point they're kept in these games because, to your point, they're having a goalie who's having a Vezina Trophy season.
Yeah, which again is why. It's ironic he replaced John Gibson, because, like, that's what John Gibson was for many, many years in Anaheim. The guy who had incredible analytics and incredible case for the Vezina and keeping a team that otherwise couldn't defend in games. You mentioned Jackson Lacombe. Not great so far offensively. 6 points this season for the young man who was invited to U.S. Olympic development camp, leading to half the hockey world being, who's Jackson Lacombe? But I talked to Verbeek about him. You got to remember that he is playing 25 minutes a night on average. He's doing a lot of things. Yeah, a lot of things for them. Yeah. Very good. But even Verbeek told me, like, we're hoping that the offense can pick up a little bit, because it's not the production isn't where it should be right now for him, but everything else is going pretty well for him.
Yeah. And again, like, I know the manager may pull out his hair, but it's just flat out fun to watch. I don't care. I'm just a fan. I'm not like a fan of any team. I'm just a fan of great games, and Anaheim's delivered great games this year.
I want to take some questions from the chat, but you wanted to preach on the Oilers for a second.
No, not really. I just thought that, I don't know, like, if you want to prove that you're tough, don't fight Matthew Olivier. You know, like it happened last year in Toronto with Ryan Reeves, where like everyone was getting on him because he hadn't had a fight, and then like Columbus was next in town, and Olivier's like, "Do you want to do this? Like, do you want to like and end it all?" It's like, and he like, make no mistake about it, Matthew Olivier is the toughest player in the NHL. You remember what he did to Rempe? Like he does this consistently to guys, and Trent Frederick is not in that league. Give him full marks for trying, but first of all, that fight should have been stopped way before it was.
Here we go.
Like,
so we're looking at the
if
fight
you're watching
now
on YouTube, like they're like count the rights. Like the fight, like, okay, so Frederick is down. I know he's trying to get back up. Like, you need to be stopping this like 5 punches ago, and they just keep letting it go. It's actually Olivier who stops. Like,
Olivier hit him so hard he now has no goals in the season. He knocked a goal out of him.
Whoa, whoa, that is that's tough. His grandkids will have migraines. No, but like that thing should have been. And again, like that's Olivier saying. I get that while someone's throwing, I know that you got to pick your spots and both guys got to get in at the same time. But did you not watch that and say this fight needs to stop right now? This isn't a fight anymore. And again, I will give credit. I will give credit on that stoppage, not to the officials. I give credit to Matthew Olivier, who realized this is too much.
I don't know who the officials were last night. I didn't check the box score. The only thing I knew from that game, quite honestly, outside of the end result, was the McDavid goal, which is ridiculous, as sick as you could find. I mean, it was just insane.
Caleb Apperson and Devin Burke were the line.
Okay, so
those two should.
I don't know who those people are, and I do wonder whether or not, we've talked about it before on the show. Like, if you talk to the older officials and the guys who were recently in the league, they all say the same thing, which is that there is a learning curve right now insofar as the number of officials that are in the league that are newbies, that are still kind of like cutting their teeth. I'm not saying that was the case here, but you watch that and you say to yourself, if that's a veteran linesman or a veteran official, they're probably not allowing that to happen.
If Jay Shears is still in the NHL, that fight's over because he may grab both guys and he's tougher than both. And he squeezes them like a python. And you just watch when Jay would break when he would break up fights, it would be like he would grab the arms and he'd do that squeeze, and the guys would just go like, oh, they would just like buckle. It's like, oh yeah, he's got no one wrapped up guys' arms like him. How
many linesmen do you know? Like, how many linesmen can you name? Was Pat DiPuzzo a linesman?
So how many linesmen can you know? First of all, that is the one area. Not so much referees, but linesmen. That is the one area that I will admit a lot of ignorance as far as like new officials coming in.
I knew one guy. Down. It's like, but in fairness, it's like asking a baseball fan, who's your third base coach? Like, who knows? We don't care. It's not an issue until we have to talk about how they blew an offside call. You know, like that's when we start talking about them. But linesmen are just there.
But that one should have been broken up 8 punches before it was. Anyway, that was my only point. So what did you want to? Pat DiPuzzo.
I wanted to get some questions from the chatteroo. If the people, right. Zach, you got any that you wanna put our way to answer from the good people?
Yeah. Let's start here with
1970s
Jeffrey.
Cop Zach Phillips.
Yeah. Very
License
original. Good one. Haha. So funny. This one
Did you know how fast you were driving, ma'am? Just say it. Just say it once. Come on, just do it. Just do the line. Just do the line.
License and registration, please.
No, because you're laughing. No, you gotta like really sell it.
I can't do it. Come on.
Read it. Yeah,
We're a serious hockey show here.
Oh yeah. Have you met me and Greg? Yeah, seriously.
Trying to let the people have their voice here.
All right.
This one comes from Jeffrey Maron. With no All-Star game this year, after the Four Nations last year, will the quote-unquote traditional All-Star game format just slowly just fade away is the question.
So the answer to that is no, for a couple reasons. First of all, the NHL does fancy the history of the All-Star game. The players enjoy the history, and also, as much as they might complain about it, they like participating in parts of the All-Star game.
The drinking parts.
The drinking parts.
The drinking
You
parts, yeah.
can't replicate the All-Star game with an international mid-season tournament, because, as we saw with Four Nations, you leave Leon Draisaitl out and a number of other people out. Now, there's probably ways you can fudge it and create some sort of mini World Cup of hockey or whatever, but like the
Team
point
Europe,
is that
Ralph Kruger, right this way.
right, the All-Star game exists as part of the fabric of hockey, the tradition of hockey, but also as a way to get all your star players in one place, in front of all your sponsors in one place, and their families and their kids, and it is a valuable marketing tool for the NHL that they can also bring places where maybe you're not going to hold a Four Nations as well. So I think they'll keep doing them, but I do think, though, to answer your question, it's not going to be an annual event, and they're going to space them out around Olympics and Four Nations or World Cup or whatever they end up doing.
I've said this to you before. My life got a whole lot better when I realized that not everything is intended for me. I used to be the guy that grumbled about the All-Star game until I realized, or maybe someone told me, not everything revolves around you. To which I said, well, hold on a second, because every experience I've had, I've been at the center of. So that doesn't make any sense. But my life got better when I realized that the All-Star game is not intended for me. And that's why I laugh.
Kids.
That's why I laugh when I hear media people grouse about it. It's like, bud, it's not for you.
Yeah.
You know, I
no
don't.
one's
I don't,
asking Marek to watch K-pop Demon Hunters. It's not for him.
it's not
Same
for
thing
me.
as the NHL All-Star game.
Yeah, it's not for me. Like, honestly, it's for kids. Like, the looks in those kids' faces when they see all the stars all in one place, regardless of what the game or games look like, is fantastic. And it's never a bad idea to create an event to say thank you to the people who have the nerve to keep the lights on. I got zero problem with it. Zero problem.
And it's just like when we talk about overtime, right? Like, there's always moments in overtime that are pure chaos that make it worth doing it. Who among us hasn't gotten excited seeing a close, fastest skater, or seeing a breakaway challenge that was dope, or seeing like Chara step up and shoot a puck 300 miles an hour? Like, there are still things about the All-Star game that speak to us as hockey fans, even if the general comportment of it isn't necessarily anything that we're interested in anymore as we've grown more jaded and older. Oh, and by the way, it's the novelty of seeing these guys interact has also gone by the wayside because of the Olympics and other international events, which was used to be the selling point of the All-Star game. Look, it's Gretzky and Mario or whatever. Then there's that used to be the thing. That was the exciting part, but now it's not exciting anymore like that.
I got more if you guys want.
Yeah,
Sure.
shoot. Why not?
All right, this one is about Anaheim. If the Ducks, this one comes from Neat Drew, by the way.
Yeah.
If the Ducks are still firmly planted in the playoff spot by Olympic break, do you think that they try to add at the deadline? It would be hard to add anyone to this group without subtracting.
I think they add. I don't think they go.
What, though?
I don't think they go crazy. I think defensemen. I think this is a team that's still looking for another defenseman. And I don't. This isn't like. First of all, Anaheim has done a great job drafting and developing, an outstanding job with it, and it's time to turn the picks and the prospects into assets, real grown-up hockey players. So I could absolutely see if they're right there around Olympics. I could absolutely see. I don't think they go berserk. I don't think they go crazy. Like, this is our last piece before the cup. But I could see the Anaheim Ducks adding. Yes.
Let me ask you this: when you say adding, do you mean a rental, or do you mean someone who's going to be there for a few years? Like, do you mean more like Florida acquiring a Seth Jones type deal, or do you mean a rental?
That would be preferable, but I think that's most teams. I think that's most teams around the NHL.
Well, I guess the
really
question is, like, the Ducks have a galaxy of young stars on their blue line. So
They do.
Do they get more out of playing those kids in a playoff race and letting them become the players that they're going to be, or do they get more out of sending one to someone else to get a veteran defenseman? I don't know the answer.
I could see them sending one, like not Jackson Lacombe, But Pavel Mintyukov or Olen Zellweger, perhaps.
Okay.
If it means bringing in someone who's more of a veteran, not like close to retirement, whistling by the career graveyard, but I could see them letting go of one of their younger defensemen to bring in someone more established. Absolutely, I could. Who has term?
Yeah. You want to do like what?
Do you agree? Do you agree with that?
No, I don't. I think. Listen, I agree that they'll make a move. I probably do, because you want to strike while the iron's hot if you have a contender. I think they're better off just rolling with what they have. They've got an incredible collection of young players.
This is the year. But this again, like I talk about managers managing upwards. This is the year where there's expectations on the Anaheim Ducks. Like the Samuelis have been very patient through all of this. But this is the year where, okay, there's all these new pieces that have been added to. Don't forget about spending a lot of money on Michael Granlund. No one else was giving him that kind of dough.
Correct. Yeah, we haven't talked about
so this is the year where there is expectation. And the expectation is playoffs. That we need to start to see return on investment here.
And I should say, though, like to your point, and the reason why I think it probably will happen is that it's not as if Pat Verbeek has shied away from moving a top young player with a big name to better his team. I just hope that the Philadelphia Flyers have room on their roster for the next one. And he decides to send out
Philadelphia used to make all their trades with Los Angeles. Remember that? Like everything was like
Richards and Carter and
Lombardi Clarkie here. Like that used to be that's where players went back and forth. Now it's Anaheim. It's just moved address. Still in California, but now it's Anaheim. Used to be Philadelphia. It was Philadelphia West was in LA. Now Philadelphia West is Anaheim.
Couturier would look pretty good on the Ducks.
I can't see that.
Don't you think?
I can't see that one.
Okay. Just speaking out loud.
Go get all excited. Get the internet all excited and say Michkov. Go on, do it.
Stop.
Go on.
Zachy, what's one more question before we
come on, say it. You want to say it. You want to
shuffle off this mortal coil.
You want to say Michkov. Go on.
Okay. I was debating between two. I'm going to go with the one that will probably fire up the internet a little bit, because why not? So I'll preface this as the producer. Whatever result comes out of this, I set Jeff and Greg up for whatever kickback comes out of the answers of this question. Okay.
Right.
That is on record on the air.
Okay.
It's going to be about
We talked
Sidney
about
Sweeney.
Pete DeBoer the other day. This comes from SV225. Where do we see Pete DeBoer headed? And I say it's going to fire people up because they specifically included Toronto, Edmonton, question mark.
I think they're just let me jump in here quickly on DeBoer. I think that DeBoer, first of all, he's in a position right now where he doesn't have to take whatever is available. Like there are some coaches where any spot that's available, you got to jump on it, because we always hear there's only 32 of these things. I got to jump on it right away. I can't turn things down. But Pete DeBoer has the luxury, both from his success and his financial well-being, that he doesn't have to jump at the first opportunity. So I can see DeBoer waiting for the right opportunity with a team that is close. Mm-hmm. Edmonton is close. So if you give me those two options, I'll say Edmonton over Toronto. But Toronto could still be considered close when you look at the players that are still on that roster, but not as close as Edmonton. If you're giving me one or the other, I could see him closer to Edmonton than Toronto.
I think that's right. Let me throw a wild card out there. What about Utah? Now, you and I both, I think, buy into the theory that the next coach of the Utah Mammoth after the Big Bear is going to be
employed.
John Cooper.
Is employed right now in Tampa.
We are both. I mean, Coop is not a fan of this theory, I don't think, but the theory is there, and I think we are both buying into it. We're both buying into it.
Yeah.
But like, if you talk, there are teams that are in the playoff bubble race that either aren't a good fit for Pete, they're not looking to necessarily fire their coach, but Utah is such an interesting one, because if you talk about teams that are ready to level up and by all means should be a playoff team this year, I think that they fit that bill. But obviously, like you think of the other teams that are in that mix. Obviously, Anaheim's not going to hire him. Chicago just hired Blashill. You know,
But the thing about Utah is, like, it's still a team on the rise. Normally when you're looking to bring in someone like Peter DeBoer, it's because you stalled. And Utah's still rising, and they haven't stalled, and they haven't plateaued. That's why I think Bear is safe there.
I just mentioned the Kings.
Jim Hiller, they're about to lose Anze Kopitar. Drew Doughty's not getting any younger. When you look
It's
at
not
hang
ideal for
on.
him. Yeah.
When you look at where this team, like, Pete DeBoer is smart and he knows the league.
Right.
Is it a team that's on the rise? Is it a team that's close to winning the Stanley Cup?
Well,
no.
Here's the thing.
Okay.
How many spots are open for him where he hasn't already been? Like, Toronto would be one. Edmonton would certainly be one. And again, like much like he went from San Jose to Vegas, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And like all of a sudden now he's coaching Edmonton. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, that's the most logical point. But you look around, like, you know, he's not going to Jersey. He's been there. He's not going to half these places where he's already been.
You can always go somewhere you've been before. I mean, Glenn Gullison's in Dallas, bud.
That's true.
And they got a shot at winning the Stanley Cup.
But that's so they can get McDavid in 2 years.
Oh, jeez. Zach, bail us out of this one. That's what's going to get him killed on the internet, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but like to answer you, I ultimately agree with you. I agree with you, Marek. I think Edmonton probably makes the most sense if he ends up going any place this year, which I'm not convinced he will be.
No. We got one more thing. You want to hang around for this one with Zach? Or do you have stuff to do?
Yeah, sure.
All right, here we go.
I do, but I'm more than happy to hear Zach talk more.
Here he comes. Officer Phillips, by the way, until the month is over. The sheet is powered by FanDuel. Play your game with FanDuel. It's the NHL season, and FanDuel is your home for all the action on the ice. From Blue Line to Bet Slip, we've got you covered all season long with unique promos, live offerings, and more features to let you play your game. Missed puck drop? No sweat. With a live same-game parlay, you can build up your bets until the final buzzer. Download FanDuel Sportsbook today and play your game. Please play responsibly, 18 plus and physically located in Ontario. If you have questions or concerns about your gambling or the gambling of someone close to you, please contact Connects Ontario at 1-866-531-2600 to speak to an advisor free of charge. Officer Phillips rejoins.
Greg did not seem very enthusiastic.
What seems to be the problem, Officer Phillips?
I am always enthusiastic to hear the thing that you're going to talk about.
Okay, I do think you might like this one here, at least the name, potentially, hopefully. I don't know. This one is in the theme of today with Uffe joining us and the NHL Global Series, and we talked about Anaheim and Leo Carlsson, and we did not talk about one of the guys involved here today, but we are going with the How Sweet It Is parlay. William Nylander, Leo Carlsson, and Adrian Kempe to score tonight. Nylander plus 150, Carlsson plus 260, Adrian Kempe plus 195. $5 pays 127.75 on this one.
Dude, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I like it.
Sometimes, guys, the dots connect. It comes together. Yeah, there's the theme for the day. The Swedes.
Get yourself some beer money out there, Swede fans. Do it for Uffe.
Yeah, that's the best one.
I love it. That's an awesome one. Do that more times than not. I've always had, and maybe this goes back to just being in southwestern Ontario, specifically Toronto in the 70s, and watching the rise of Borje Salming, but I've always adored Swedish hockey players. Always adored. Like, usually, look, who's been my favorite player the last 10 years? Gabriel Landeskog. Who was it before? Peter Forsberg. Borje Salming. Like, for whatever reason, Kent Nilsson. Like, I've always had like one guy, Nick Lidstrom. Like, I've always had like that one guy. Then I don't know what it is about me. That one player in the NHL that I've always adored. Usually it's a Swedish player. Usually it is a Swede, and I think it comes from You know, I can remember the moment where I was first like, wow, that's a really cool thing. I can't believe that they would do this. Was watching Borje Salming get a standing ovation at Maple Leaf Gardens while playing for Sweden against Team Canada when they introduced him. Standing ovation. That was like the moment where I was like, I must have been like 7 years old or something like that. I'm like, wow, that's like one of the coolest, because you're so confused. Like, well, he plays with the Maple Leafs, but he's playing on this team and you're supposed to not like him. I'm like, I remember talking to my dad about it. I was like, yeah, that's how good he is. That even the
so
opposition,
funny.
like playing against Canada, this guy's getting a standing ovation in Toronto.
That's what's so funny. I can also remember the first time as a kid when I realized all these guys aren't just from the U.S. and Canada, and there was a guy in the Devils called, his name was Jani Ojanen.
Yeah, Jani Ojanen. Yeah.
And I was like, first of all of these, I know all these letters, but they don't sound like that in my language. And also, it was such a novelty that he was just like, he's the guy from Finland they bought in. I'm like, wow, that's so dope. Yeah. Hockey, man, an international sport if there ever was one. Hockey,
it's everywhere. You just got to look hard enough. Wish, you be well. Enjoy the rest of your day. We will regroup on Thursday with new thoughts. Right,
thanks, everybody.
New jokes. See you, pal. Greg Wyshynski from ESPN.com. I want to thank Greg for stopping by. I want to thank Uffe Bodin for stopping by to talk about, amongst other things, Leo Carlsson, the Global Series, and all things Swedish hockey. And thanks for the trip down memory lane with Kent Nilsson. I got you, Uffe. You're the man. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for chatting. Thanks for all of it. Thanks for all the button pushing by you that help us, most notably subscribing to our Daily Faceoff YouTube channel. Always appreciate that. Don't forget, the Tri-State Hockey Show comes up today. We're talking the Rangers and the Devils and the New York Islanders. Johnny Lazarus is your host, along with Arthur Staple and Mike Rupp. They're recording their first show. Correct me if I'm wrong, Zach. They're recording their first show today. And this is going to be a Wednesday-Thursday drop for this program, I believe. So very much looking forward to hearing the maiden voyage of the Tri-State Hockey Podcast. It drops Tuesdays and Wednesdays. I apologize. So it drops today,
but I think they're recording right now. I don't know if the first one coming out today. It might be coming out tomorrow. I should have got that information, but I did find out that they're recording right now. So
okay. Excellent news there.
It hopefully helps people.
I love the idea of doing a cluster show. I really love the idea of like doing all these three teams together as its own program. I've always thought that there's a show out there somewhere that clusters all the Canadian teams. Maybe that's best done around the Olympics and then afterwards, but nonetheless, cluster show, first of its kind, talking Devils, talking Islanders, talking Rangers, and Johnny Lazarus conducting all of it. Also, a brand new show here on the Nation Network you will want to check out. Grab a coffee and tune into The Sauce with hosts Ryder and Lisa. It's a mix of laughs, sports talk, and conversations that you didn't know you needed in your life. This is already underway. It airs 8 a.m. Mountain Time on the Oilers Nation YouTube channel. Longtime Edmonton radio hosts are going all digital, bringing their candid humor to video. Be sure to subscribe to the Oilers Nation YouTube channel and stream their show on your go-to podcast platform. We used up a lot of words and a lot of oxygen and a lot of your time today, and for that we say thank you. But we're done. No more words. Me and Officer Phillips are finished for the day. We will return, though, to issue more traffic tickets and talk about hockey, most notably with Brian Burke tomorrow, who returns for Let's Get Ready to Grumble on the program tomorrow at 1 o'clock Eastern. Don't forget Morning Cup of Hockey, 9 a.m. Eastern on our Daily Faceoff YouTube channel, DFO Live. Tyler Yaremchuk and Carter Hutton handling duties there at noon Eastern. Thanks for joining. We're back tomorrow. Jeff Merrick along with you. I hope you enjoyed the program today. If you did, or maybe even if you didn't, they can't all be gems, folks. Please hit the subscribe button. Also a reminder, every morning, 9 a.m. Eastern, Johnny Lazarus, Colby Cohen, I call them the Impact Players. You might know them as a tandem that makes up the Morning Cup of Hockey. Also DFO Live at noon Eastern. This year, your host Tyler Yaremchuk alongside Carter Hutton. Full day's worth of programming right here on Daily Faceoff, your favorite YouTube hockey channel. And as a reminder as well, Zach Phillips, our producer here for the sheet, said if you subscribe, he'll buy you a puppy. It's true.